let's go ahead and introduce the players right now. So in the mid right-hand position, we have the yellow Zerg as Dignitas Killer. In mid left, we have Todd from Fnatic Raid Call. This is a ZVP on the map, Odyssey.
Absolutely. So again, guys, keep in mind that, you know, this is a single elimination bracket, so these guys definitely want to play very, very well. At the same time, you can definitely understand that these players have definitely run into each other before, and Killer's already saying it's a weird map. Actually, Gretorp, go ahead and actually explain a little bit about Odyssey to people, because this is actually not that commonly used map around here.
Yeah, Odyssey is definitely a map that has gotten a lot of credit. I think there's a lot of great games that have been played so far in the NASTL and the NASL qualifiers. And basically what you have is, if you split the map, let's say the top and bottom, you can only take 5 bases max. And normally we're not used to that. Something like Antigua Shipyard, you can have as many as 7 bases. Obviously something a lot bigger, Tal'Darim Altar, I think you can have a total of 8 bases, something like that. This is only 5, so it makes for a lot more aggressive games throughout the entire game. Normally they won't go up, or each player won't go up to more than 3 or 4 bases, which is really hard to get, especially with this line expansion, where you kind of expand away from yourself consistently, rather than something like Antigua Shipyard, where you're all, you know, clustered up. It makes for a really hard positions to actually defend everything. So definitely mobility is going to come into a key factor, and the size of your army is going to come into a key factor.
Yeah, and that actually kind of goes into the little bit of statistics, because I pulled it up, and Zerg has actually won a little bit more on this map, but it's still relatively new, so anything could happen. And we do see that Todd is actually going for a Forge Fast Expand, very common opening, and he's going to go ahead and place his Nexus down. No cannon just yet. And, you know, because players might be unfamiliar, we're going to probably see a pretty different strategy than what Killer is used to, but we do see that Todd already blocking the natural expansion with a pylon, so very standard but solid play from both players thus far.
Definitely very frustrating. You can see that Killer is going to try to start his expansion all the way at the 3rd. Of course, it just cannot go down, because look at this. Todd is actually going to put another proxy pylon, delaying that hatchery yet again. This is so frustrating as a Zerg player right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the most frustrating things, just because Killer, I mean, when he was blocked at his natural, thought you could take his 3rd, and there was a probe waiting for him there. So Todd's being very predictive as well as reactive, making sure that Killer can't get his economy without stalling just a couple of seconds. And when you go for Forge Fast Expand, those couple seconds matter a lot, just because you want to be safe as well. And it looks like Todd transitioning very beautifully, double gas after his gateway, very standard transition off of the Forge Fast Expand here, Gretorp.
Yeah, and I like this reaction by D-Killer. He's put down a 3rd hatchery right around the 4-minute 10-second mark. That's pretty fast. Normally you see this a little bit delayed. He has gotten the 2nd queen, but you know, it's kind of, we knew this was coming a little bit, just because his 2nd was delayed, his natural was delayed so much. He wants to get his 3rd up really quickly, so I don't hate that whatsoever. It's going to be a big deal though. Now what D-Killer is trying to do is identify what his opponent is doing. This one Overlord in the top left hand corner is going to be instrumental in finding that out. A lot of things you can find out is based off of the number of gases that you have. So D-Killer poking in here, seeing the 3rd and 4th gas, if that's actually being made at a very critical time, maybe around 7 minutes, 8 minutes into it. Normally 7 minutes you want to get in there at least. That'll be very important moving forward, because obviously, do I make units or do I make drones? That's D-Killer's big question.
Yeah, especially on a map that you're unfamiliar with, the timings might be a little bit different in terms of just a couple seconds. So just like you said, Gretorp, but more specifically is the timing of the gas as well, just like you pointed out. Just because with 3-4 gases, you have much more flexibility in the tech route you can choose, versus if you just grab your main, it's going to be definitely leaning more towards standard warp gate timings. Now we do see Todd is actually chrono boosting out his warp gate, and he's researching +1. Of course, the Zergling does end up seeing the chrono boost, so you know, Killer has a little bit of an idea of what Todd's up to, but nothing of strong indication just yet, as right now he's worried about getting up his economy. 3 queens going to be popping out soon, and he is joining up very comfortably. So overall, I like the relaxed map control that Killer has right now. He can see pretty much everything that's going on, and he's going to start setting his Overlord because he wants to get a good scout, and he sees the 3rd and 4th gases around the 7-minute mark, just again, like you were saying, Gretorp. Yeah,
this should be a little bit confusing, I think, for Killer. It's kind of a weird time to take the gases, but what we can see from here, just the ranges right now from Todd making these two simulators, he can't really go a heavy gateway style at that 8-minute mark, which we see a lot of different times in PVZ and PVT. You can see the second Overlord is going to come in here, and he sees just the gateways going down. So it is only 4 gateways, but we're not really expecting a super all-in at that 8-minute or 8-minute 30-second mark, even 9 minutes. You can already see Twilight Councils go down, so probably some sort of +2 Blink Stalker timing.
Yeah, +2 Blink is a very staple build in PvZ just because you can add pressure, gives you mobility. We're talking about mobility is so key on this map. Oh, yeah. And, just giving you that ability to maneuver and really utilize a lot of terrain. There seems to be a lot of ramps around Odyssey, so you can really capitalize on that going into the mid game. And we're going to see whether or not Todd chooses to pressure off this. He does have his couple Zealots warping at the bottom center here, and it looks like Killer sees these Zealots. He's going to have to force to make some units here, and there it is, 4 Roaches. So that is a small little win in Todd's book, as right now he's also going to spot the 3rd and check drone saturation, backs off immediately as Killer right now wants to deal with this proxy pylon.
That's really unfortunate right now for Todd, because these 5 Zealots actually should not be able to run home. They should be picked off if Killer is able to keep on top of this. He needs to be careful though. These are +1. One Zealot's going to be completely surrounded. Now the other 4 are kind of just left. Nice positioning though from Todd. That's where he wants to go.
Oh yeah, and those Zealots just take away things like watchtowers and just being able to really pressure Killer in an indirect way, not threatening in terms of being able to shut down economy. But Todd's transitioning with robotics facility, no doubt going to get an observer, putting down 2 more gateways, so 6-gate blink +2 is definitely imminent at this point. And we do see that right now, Killer's responding with lots of Roaches. His Roaches have discovered the Zealot pack, and they are not going to basically do anything at this point. So right now Killer revealing Roaches as well to Todd, so he's got some pretty good information right now.
For sure. And right now, I think Killer is looking amazing. He has a big supply lead. It doesn't really indicate anything just yet, but an Overseer is going to get in here and sees everything that Todd is doing. Right now Todd is kind of like pinned. He was supply capped at 60 for a very long time. I was noticing that. So it actually hurt him quite a bit. He won't actually be doing anything with this +2 that comes out, or the Blink Stalker that is already finished. So a little bit unfortunate for him. I think just a lot of different mechanical problems right now in this early game stage has really hindered him and disabled him from doing any sort of timing. So he's just going to take out 2 of those Colossus and just do a big 2-base push, it looks like. I'm not sure just yet. We'll definitely keep an eye on how he actually goes about maybe getting a 3rd. Frodan, what do you think?
Well, right now looks like actually Todd is trying to warp in something into the main, so he's trying to be a little sneaky snake here, and he's just going to do some minor harassment. He's actually going to see the infestation pit and the fact that it is bobbing its head up and down, so he knows that infestors and pathogen glands are on the way. So Todd, he is going to try to see if he can expand behind this, but for now just going to do some nice little harassment here, force drones off the minerals, but he didn't actually kill anything of consequence, and he's revealed that he does have a pylon really close. So I feel like he could have used it a little bit better, but Todd with a good idea, hopefully he can capitalize on those kinds of ideas in the mid game.
But Frodan, if we think back, that investment alone, it's just about 500 minerals, of course.
Yeah.
And then before, he lost 500 minerals and a pylon. So that's right there, 1,000 minerals that he hasn't really done anything with. He's given it away. So right off the bat, because of the supply cap at 60, we can see a lot of things not going Todd's way. Todd is going to have a real big problem going into this mid game, because if I were D-Killer at this point, obviously I don't really have too much indication my opponent has been supply capped, but I know I'm up 1,000 minerals. I'm going to take advantage of that, and look at that. The 4th base is coming up. There's a great time to take that 4th base. I would love him to pressure up on his opponent, at least go to his side of the map and disable him from getting any sort of map control.
Oh yeah, look at Killer. He's got vision everywhere. He can see everything. In fact, he just ran into the Protoss army, and Todd revealing Colossi as well. But of course, Killer did get a good scout on his base. He's also going to see the gateways here, so he can only suspect that a third base is trying to go up, and he's going to try to transition to Spire, making a lot of infestors. His army is looking very fine. Just like you said, Killer is sitting very nicely because he's just been able to capitalize on these small mistakes that Todd's been doing. And, you know, they're not game-ending mistakes by any means, but Todd overall, just like you said, now he's forced to play defensive. He has to really hope Killer gives him a window of opportunity, but for now, the ball is definitely in the court of Killer at this point.
Yeah, Killer has all the initiative right now. He has all the decision-making in this game. And Todd, as you said, has to play this defensive style, this defensive brand of Protoss versus Zerg, which is something that we're used to. You know, normally we do see these type of supply disparities, 130 supply to 174. I've even seen it 130 to 200, 200. Of course, Killer not rushing his supply. He has the capabilities of getting a lot of roaches at this point, but he's massing up in those infestors, and look at that, already getting the Greater Spire. The the Corruptors are coming out as we speak, and he will be teching 2 Broodlords and having a very, very premature Broodlord composition.
Yeah, and you know, that's all because the harassment of Todd has been ineffective. I mean, the only thing he's able really to do in the Zerg base is scout with an observer, but I mean, he already expects everything anyways, because the creep is now starting to recede to the halfway point of the map, which shows that Killer's already exuded multiple amounts of map control. He's even expanding to the top right here, and he has Zerglings in case a 4th is spotted. Todd is going to move out here, and he's not even max supply though. I'm not sure if he wants to move out just yet, but +3 weapons did just finish recently, and he wants to start shutting down bases from Zerg. Does not want him to get any kind of economic advantage from this point on, but I think Killer is still very much prepared for this fight. He's waiting just for a few more Corruptors before he takes on this Colossi.
Now remember, I mean, that represents a lot of power right there with those 11 Festers, but they can be really powerful and really fragile at the same time. He put down all of those infested Terrans. He can lock everything in its place, so right now it's a really, really tough. He doesn't want to commit just yet because the Broodlords are on the way out. You can see 3 in production, 4 more Corruptors on the way out. A couple Infestors are going to be just spewed out right there. He's going to throw down a couple of Funky Roads, but he has to back up because those key units need to be made right now.
Yeah, he's waiting for Broodlords, and looks like the army of Protoss is forcing themselves here, trying to see if he can get a little choke position, and looks like Killer caught in kind of an awkward spot. Really make sure he can get some good fungals. Force fields do end up going off here. Killer's Corruptors are not actually in position. He only has 1 firing at the Colossus, so Todd actually, this is the best position he's ever going to get. He does end up getting fungled, and Killer's actually losing a lot of infestors with energy, and all of a sudden, Todd's army is looking very fierce. He's blinking forward, a strong sign of confidence in Gretorp. All of a sudden, we see Killer's actually going to lose a base here just because Todd's been able to make a strong play, taking a good position with his army here.
It's not just that, the Blink Stalker retention is really good at this point. He's losing the 3rd base, and that's going to be a big disaster because the 4th is right after that. You can see the 4th isn't even well saturated, so this is not looking good for Killer. All of a sudden, just 1 engagement, and Todd takes a massive advantage in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Todd, again, was really able to capitalize on it, and there is good game. Killer actually leaves because he realizes he actually lost his opportunity to confront the Death Ball, does not have enough time to be able to mass up something of any consequence to be able to take him on. So, you know, Killer had a lot of opportunity, but he let Todd really push in onto his creep, was not able to engage in an open spot, and when he was put up into that small little corner there, was able to really maximize force fields, blink, and was able to protect his Colossi.
Yeah, that's the toughest part about that whole engagement. I mean, the Protest Death Ball has been known to be very strong. We actually seen this style a lot of different times way back when. Since then, the style has changed up quite a bit. We don't really see this Protest Death Ball at that period in time, 15 minutes in. It's normally that super harass type of style, and then you go into a mixture of everything, High Templars, Colossus, things like that. But it's really, really cool to see Todd actually executing that again. You know, honestly, I don't have enough information right now. I actually want to go back and look at that particular game because obviously we were talking about how Killer had a massive advantage that whole time, and it just felt like he was lacking that power that he needed. I know Todd hit him at a very critical time when Broodlords were just starting, so he only had 3 Broodlords in that first engagement, and then after all the units were done, he had another 3 that was just made, but of course 3 Broodlords alone isn't going to do a lot, so really, really difficult position right there for Killer, and obviously Todd was able to reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, man. I mean, Todd, props to him for being able to really come back and pick out a good timing. That's what you got to do as Protoss. If you mess up in the beginning, just try to forge a timing. He has Observer constantly moving. That was another thing. He was just scouting. Okay, so his Greater Spire just finished. He should be able to be vulnerable for just a brief few seconds, and then I can't kill him. So he realized and was able to really, you know, profit and harness that ability, and props to him, man.
Exactly. I mean, normally we do see, I do want to mention that we do see just mass corruptors in that stage. I mean, we have 3 Colossus, so anywhere from 12 to 16 corruptors could have been made. You just kill the Colossus and then have your reinforcements just keep pushing out. It empowers the infestors a lot more, because now just fungling them, it forces like blinks either up onto the infestors or it disables the blinks completely because they're being fungled. So there are definitely like army composition problems with D-Killer at that point, but overall, I mean, you know, I can't fault him at the same point because he did go for that fast hive. It was a really, really cool type of opening. Still, I think he needs 1 trade before he gets into Broodlords. That's the one criticism I guess I would have for D-Killer. But
yeah.
For now, I mean, it's 1-up for Todd. Do you have any last words about that game?
No, so I'm just looking for Killer to just come out with a little bit stronger positioning. That was pretty much the only thing, but unfortunately it cost him. So hopefully he can come back for next game.
Definitely. You know, PvZ has been known, I'm just going to branch off, PvZ has been known to be one of those matches that I think a lot of StarCraft 2 has been going into just those big battles and how well you can micro, how well you can position it. That's what I love. It's like taking a little bit of StarCraft 1 and a little bit of Warcraft 3, right? And then you merge it perfectly together where macro is very relevant, but you need the best positioning, you need the best arcs, you need where you're actually going to be attacking into, things like that. And we can see that obviously Todd is a superstar at doing that. So props to him. Really, really nice play. We're going to just wait a little bit for D-Killer to actually choose his map. For now, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with D-Killer against Fnatic. Raid call Todd, so don't go away, everybody.